And the recording is in progress. So, Larry Weingarten, you are the branch manager, vice president, and senior branch manager at M&T Bank in Ossining, a branch that is near and dear to my heart because I could walk to your branch from my house.
Yeah,
That might be a little stretch of the legs, but
it's a walk.
and how long have you been there? You've been there 2
So
years,
I've
3 years?
been, yeah, I've been with the branch since July of 23, but I've been with the bank a little over 7 years now. Quick 7 years.
Quick 7 years.
Quick seven
And
years.
you and I know each other and I know your journey, but why don't you give me really the Cliff's notes? Because for anybody looking for a business banker, they want to hear this. You know of what you speak, right? So you didn't graduate, you didn't fall out of the womb and start being a bank manager. You
No,
lived life a
and
little bit.
and and to be fair, I didn't go to college for it either. It's something that kind of happened, I go on a journey, right? So I had been working in mortgages and loans, and from there, went to work as a financial advisor associate for a very large investment house in New York City. Didn't love it. Went to work for when my wife's family had a business, tire industry. So I was doing wholesale tire sales, which taught me a lot about customer service and really being able to relate to people. And then I decided I wanted to do my own thing, right? So I ended up purchasing a deli in Yonkers. I did that for about 9 years. Um, had some criminal activity happen as far as some robberies and things like that, and it was just time to get into something that should be a lot safer. So I ended up interviewing for a number of banks, and M&T just struck me as a different type of bank.
Mm.
I really didn't know anything about them when I started, but um, it just struck me very differently than the other banks that I had been interviewing with, and for sure the bank that I was banking with for over 20 something years. And so I dove in as it wasn't the title, but it was personal banker essentially. And every couple of years, I've been blessed to gain some knowledge and get noticed for that. And I've been promoted a few times. And so now I'm a senior branch manager, as you said, in our Ossining branch.
So I want to talk a little bit about your experience as a business owner. So you spent a
Yeah.
decade
Yep.
in like a deli. So this
Yeah.
is not like you like had a little stationery store and I'm sure
No.
somebody who runs a stationery store could give me their headaches, but this was not low hanging fruit. This was not, lightweight kind of stuff. Running a deli, right?
Yeah.
That is
It's
that's
it's a lot,
heavyweight self-employment stuff.
it's a lot, Phil, and it's, to anyone who owns their own business, especially one that has on the retail side with, very specific hours. I mean, I was walking in the door at 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning, sometimes not leaving until close up at 7 o'clock at night. And I was involved in every aspect of it, right? So not only did I get to deal with the customer service part that comes with owning a business like that, but I was running the business from the business side, So I had a nice team around me. So I had, a CPA and an attorney. Um, but I was running the day-to-day operations as well as the back office part of it as well. Inventory control, um,
And that's
training and
that,
development,
and there's a
any
lot of
any
moving
aspect of a
parts.
business. Yeah, it's a lot of moving parts, but like it was really fantastic for me. It gave me a real understanding. It was the first business I owned, and it was really jumping in feet first, but a real understanding for what business owners go through. So it was I didn't know it at the time, but it was partially setting me up for success over at M&T.
Yeah, exactly. So your experience as a business owner kind of informs and instructs being a banker because a chunk of your clientele is business owners, right? It's people who were in your shoes and have their own delis or have their own,
Yeah.
whatever, right?
Right, and it's any kind of business, from big to small, local retail to, I don't know, attorneys and physicians,
Sure.
construction companies. Um, yeah, I'm fortunate. I have a different insight, and I think that's part of why M&T initially, what I would say, took a chance with me is because I can relate different. It's one thing to talk the talk of understanding what business owners go through on a daily basis. But it's another thing to be able to walk the walk, right? Like
Yeah.
I understood how my ridiculous hours affected my wife and kids. I understood how the stress of the job, you go home with it. It's hard to just let go. You're not just receiving a paycheck. I have two kids, and that business at the time that's the third baby, and
Yeah.
it takes its toll on the owner and the family, and I get that for them, and I don't think that most bankers have that experience. Although what's really unique is in my office, I do have another banker who focuses on business development as well. And she also owned a small business. She owned a dry cleaning company. So
Not
we have
easy.
a real,
Wow.
real unique perspective in Ossining here.
That is a good thing, knowing what the guy across the desk is going through, like, you know, understanding how it feels to hit, the 14th hour of work that day. Your
Yeah,
feet are killing you. And then tell me if I'm wrong. When you go home, you can't just flip a switch and relax. You have to decompress.
yeah,
You have to process all the crazy stuff that happened during that day. You've got the health department, you've got food suppliers, you've got
yep,
crazy people coming in making ridiculous demands. You've got employees who don't show up. You've got the heat broke, all that stuff, right? So,
yep. Yeah, and that's why I always, when I talk to my business owners, I want to make them understand, like, I get it. I get it. As far as I'm concerned, there's no real difference between the business owner, the business, and his family. It's one unit that we have to figure out how to manage together. And anything I can do to make that more palatable, manageable, however you want to look at it, I'm happy to do it. I enjoy it. And part of that enjoyment comes from the fact that I didn't have that. I when I owned my business, I went to the bank, I made deposits, I moved money around, and very rarely did anyone approach me to have a conversation about the business so that they could learn about it and maybe they could help. Like some of the services we offer now, I say to myself almost daily, I'm like, man, that would have been super helpful if I knew that that was something that was available.
well, I
But
wanted
I
to
was a
ask
new
you about
business
that
owner.
because you mentioned that were a business owner, you had a CPA, you had a lawyer, you had your kind of backup mastermind dream team, whatever you want to call it.
Yep.
Um, but it sounds like the banker was not in the inner circle the
Correct.
way they could have been.
Correct.
And how do you think a banker would fit into that picture for someone who wants to have an optimal kind of dream team for their
Yeah.
business?
So I think the bankers are often overlooked, right? So yeah, everyone knows I'm running a business, and I hope they know I need a CPA. I need an attorney. You never know what's going to come up where you need to activate that attorney, but you for sure know every quarter you're going to owe something that has to be dealt with by the CPA, annually, taxes, payroll, all those things. The banker is so overlooked. The options and solutions we have for getting not only money into your account but out of your account as well are invaluable. And I didn't know any of this. I mean, we offer things like lines of credit.
Mm-hmm.
I had no idea that that was a thing. There were hard times at my business, and do I really want to be pulling money out of my family savings to support the business? I don't
No,
want to.
no, you should
There's
have a line of
solutions so
credit.
that you don't have to. I didn't know that. I did not know that that was a thing. And listen, maybe shame on me for not getting educated on it, but shame on the bank I mean, I was walking in there once, if not twice a day. And for someone to not approach me and say, hey, let's sit down, let's talk about your business, shame on that bank.
Yeah, I mean, a deli is a cash business. And so you are
Absolutely.
depositing cash every
Daily.
day. You're going to the bank every day.
Yep.
So it's not like, like in my business, every so often we deposit a check and we might do it, kind of like electronically or something like that.
Right.
You're high traffic, right? You are
Yep.
going to the bank every day because you can't let cash pile up, right?
Exactly.
People are paying with singles,
Yeah. Coins.
right?
Coins, Bill.
Yeah, you got to get the money into the bank. That's what banks are for, right?
Yep.
And no one looking at your, crossing that bank's threshold once or twice a day took the time to be
Yep.
like, hey, you know what? How can we help you? How can we help you?
Right. And it was so, I mean, and I had in my mind, and this is all retrospect, in my mind, I had a great relationship with, we don't call them tellers, but the people that were working on the teller line. Like I walked in, they knew who I was, they knew what I was doing. I just had to hand over my money and they took care of it. But in retrospect, thinking about what my team does, and not only just with small businesses, but with individuals and families, there's a relationship there. We're trying to get to know you. The more we know about you and the things that are coming up in your life, the short term and long term goals, the more we can advise. And that's what you should be looking for. You go to your lawyer for advice, you go to your CPA for advice. If you're an individual, you go to your physician for advice.
Right.
Bankers should be in that loop. And, unfortunately, I don't think it's seen that way, but, I'm hoping that the bankers at M&T are changing people's minds on that and understanding that we're really here to give guidance and advice.
It's an important message
Yeah.
because business is commerce. Commerce is measured in financial moves, right?
Yes.
Money flowing. So it is important, and I wrote a couple notes here. There's a brand we will not mention by name, but they keep talking about how relationships are important.
Right.
Um, so if a small business owner or somebody who's self-employed, they're growing a practice, they're growing a business, goes to the bank and a Larry or a bank manager comes in and wants to talk to them, it's a conversation worth having. They should they should get to know their banker better. And the banker has a affirmative responsibility to get to know them better because the more you know about your clientele, your depositors, the more options you can make available to them and
Yeah.
help them grow, right?
Yeah, and it's pretty evident, I think, I hope, from the first time that you walk into the branch. We have for what it's worth, you don't walk into a branch of M&T Bank, and say, I want to open up a business account. Let's do it. Doesn't happen that way. So love when business owners walk into the branch and say, let's open an account, but it'll start with a conversation. How do we know that we're the right bank for you? How do we know that you're the right client for us? It's a two-way street. There's so many banks and even so many branches of M&T. Maybe I'm not the right guy for you. Maybe I am. Let's have that conversation. Let's talk about your business. Let's talk about our business and make sure that we're compatible. We're hopefully going to be in this for a long time together. And so
That
it should be a mutually beneficial relationship. And we should
that
enjoy spending a little bit of time together.
that should be the plan. You shouldn't dread your bank. So
Right.
the uh, banks have different brands, they have different messages, they have different, kind of like think of us when.
Yep.
Um, are there banks that are better at focusing on small businesses than others? I mean, do you think there is well, you already said that. You felt that
Yeah, I
M&T is
mean,
different.
so yeah, again, this is coming from this isn't just, drinking the Kool-Aid, as they would say, right, Phil? This is
Right.
me knowing the difference between a bank that is built for small business and a bank that opens small business accounts. We have a real process for how we open up businesses. And the other part of it is we don't just hire people. We're hiring people who have a personality, right? We just said it should be a little bit of enjoyment to sit with your banker. It shouldn't be a miserable experience. So we're hiring people who can bring out the best in other people, who enjoy learning, enjoy meeting new people, and really have this passion for helping.
You hire people. You're the guy that
Yeah,
makes the hiring decisions at this
yep.
branch, right?
Yeah, I would rather hire someone with a phenomenal personality and no banking experience than someone who's been working at a bank for a decade. We always say the same thing, right? We can teach you how to be a banker. We can't teach someone how to have a personality.
Yeah.
If you come into an interview with me and we're hitting it off and you have a great personality and I walk you out and you're saying hi to everyone, I notice those things. I
And
notice those things. And if you don't, the same on the same side, if you're not doing that, I notice that as well. You
and I
know, it's
think
it's really about the personality.
and I think when you use the word personality, it's not in the context of, being charismatic, being a wild and crazy guy. It is in the context of relating to and understanding, having a predisposition to understanding what the depositor, what their priorities are, what their needs are, what a business owner is going to want and need, and addressing that, right?
Yeah. It's
Bean counters don't make good advisors.
yeah,
Right? You got to have
you
more
know,
context.
and you know what I say to my people? I'll say it's not that you should look like you care. You should actually care. And I've had very candid conversations over the years. Like if you don't care, it's probably not the right position for you because people can feel that. I think people can feel when you are being genuine and you genuinely care about them and their business and their family. It's something you can feel. There's a spark there.
So let's talk about the products on the shelf there a little bit. You
Sure.
mentioned lines of credit, which in any business, especially any kind of business that experiences like seasonality or
For sure.
market cycles, a line of credit is a great thing. What else is like on the shelf for someone who is a business owner that
Yeah, I mean, as far as on the business side, I don't think we miss anything. Starting with obviously savings accounts and deposit, checking accounts so you can run the business CDs, you have a little extra cash, we can put something away for you. Like I mentioned, lines of credit. Every business should have a line of credit, something to tap into. You mentioned it, Phil, seasonality.
yeah,
I talk about like landscapers a lot. They get slow. November to March, they're slow. And then all the money starts rolling in on those spring cleanups. But there's rent to pay and bills to pay throughout that winter where you're not that busy. We can help you cover that. Those lines of credit are good for bulk purchases, right? If you're a contractor and you're buying a lot of plywood, let's say,
right.
make bigger purchases. Ask if you can get a discount for making bigger purchases. Maybe get a better price for paying in cash versus paying over time. So it helps there.
Should.
Um, we do a lot recently with term loans. So a lot of businesses have taken on some debt over the past few years, especially with COVID. And so we can look at that debt and find ways to maybe restructure it. Maybe they have business credit cards that they're paying 25, 26% on. Let's get that down. Let's get the monthly payment down. Let's put more money into the business. Let's stop wasting the money sending it to the credit card company. Let's put money into the business.
And you have credit cards too, right?
We do offer credit cards. We have a great credit card, comes with rewards. Right now, believe we're running a promotion, 9 months, 0% interest. So you get the card for 9 months, make some big purchases. As long as you pay it off before the 9 months is over, it's as if you used cash. We offer merchant services. So if you need a way to accept credit cards for your business, and we actually have a very new product, which is really cool. You're able to accept credit cards using your cell phone, and there's no monthly fee for it. You only get charged when you use it. So we can get it set up for you within a couple of days. If you never, ever, ever used it, it costs you nothing. There's an emergency, you need to use it. It's either use it or lose a sale. You use it and you're paying about 2.9% on it on that one purchase.
From everything I know, that's just how it goes, right? I mean,
It is. You're always going
yeah,
to pay, but the difference is that typically you're paying, and there's a monthly fee. So if you're not using it, it kind of precluded a lot of businesses from having the service because they're paying 30, 40, 50, $60 a month and they're using it once, and it's just not making sense. So now we have something for a lot of business owners that'll make sense, especially those really small business owners. And then we have a suite of services for getting money into your accounts as far as ACH, um, fraud protection. Fraud protection is huge, and there's so much fraud out there nowadays. All kinds of services. Checks are going out of your account. You get to verify what those checks are before they actually get cleared. There's. I'm sure I missed a ton of things. But nothing we can't handle.
Well, I'm taking notes.
Yeah,
So,
in the branch, I handle lending up to about $250,000 for businesses. I have a business partner. He handles upwards of that. If you're a real big business in the $30 million range, we have our middle market. Like, I kind of see myself as like I'm the face of the branch, and then it's my job to get you to the people behind me that can, support you. I just have to figure out what you need and go in that direction to figure out what partner makes sense for you.
right, because you got people. There's people that
Yeah.
that you can refer depositors and
Yeah.
clients to.
And it's what's great about it. Yeah, you use the word refer, but to me, that's the cool thing about M&T. It's not that I'm going to refer you to my merchant service department. It's that I have a specific person that I work with, and I pick up my phone and I say, "Hey, it's Larry," and I don't have to explain who it is. He knows who that what that means. It's Larry in the Ossining branch. We have a real close relationship. And I find that with most of the departments I work with. My business banker, we loop him in on things all the time. He literally just walked out of the branch 5 minutes before we got on the call here. So, yeah, what's great about it is there's a sense of community in the branch as well as with our partners, and that can be nothing but beneficial to clients.
No, no downside on that. I want to
Yeah,
ask you real quick about fraud protection because one of
sure.
the things that can really wreck your year
Hmm.
is to have an incidence of identity thefts or have, accidentally wire money to the
Yeah.
wrong place or
Yep.
get phished. I had my Facebook account phished a couple of years ago.
Yep.
And luckily, they only got $3,600,
Ugh,
right? And I got 1,800 of it back from Facebook, but there's 1,800 of it that neither Facebook nor Chase could,
yeah.
they kept pointing to each other and
Yep.
like,
Yep.
note to self,
Yep.
you're too big to care, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Understood.
talk to me a little bit about the fraud protection because I'm sure you guys have buku protocols to protect people, right?
Yeah, of course. And it's not business related. We had a woman come in today, and she was just like really thrilled. She's like, "Let me tell you," she was meeting with one of my other bankers, and I kind of just walked into because I overheard, and she was telling her M&T they really nailed it. She got a call about her debit card being used somewhere. The next thing she knows, she got a two-way alert on her mobile phone that was saying this was being used, and she had the opportunity in real time to stop that from happening. And ultimately, she had to come in, and we take it very seriously. So even though she had said, "No, it's not me doing this," we still had her come in and do some ID verification so that we can make sure the account was in good hands. But on the business side, business owners are too busy. They're too busy. They can't just do it themselves. So the fraud protection, um, whether it's checks going in and out, whether it's ACH services in and out, wire services in and out, different options to help you identify. I guess that's the best way to put it.
Yep.
Identify when something is going out of your account or coming into your account that doesn't make sense. And yeah, some of it's a little bit of work on the business owner. We have services where you'll get a notification every day that you have these checks are clearing through. Please check off which ones are accurate. If there are any that are not accurate, let us know. And we go through our day. So it does, I don't want to say it's seamless, but um,
Well, nothing's seamless, but it's
nothing
there and
seamless.
people
And
are
for sure,
protected.
yeah, and for sure, people who have been through it, business owners who have been through it, it's the after the fact. They're like, wow, that is such a great service. And you can't imagine how many people are like, I wish I had signed up for that when we talked about it initially. It would have helped save me heartache because ultimately, if we have check fraud on an account, we're probably going to have to close that account, open up a new one. You'll have to
Yeah.
reach out to all your vendors, give them your new account numbers so they can process payments and whatever that is. So it's worth the conversation. We'll set you up with people who have all the knowledge in the world on what the services are that are available, how they work, what the customers' um, expectations should be, what we expect from you. Um, yeah, it really it's protection. And to me, the first line of protection is mobile banking, mobile and online banking. I know a lot of people are afraid of it. Um, but I think more fraud still occurs the old-fashioned way where somebody steals a check.
Yeah.
But waking up every morning and looking at your bank account, it's an extra part of your day, but it really could save you a headache in the long run. Business owners know what they're spending.
Yeah. It's like,
Families know what they're spending, and if something doesn't look right, the earlier you can detect it, the better.
yeah, you check your app.
Yeah. Yep.
So I'll tell you what I like when I call M&T, right? And that is that I am not lost in voicemail hell
Yeah.
for 8.5 minutes because it's
Yes.
funny, you call and again I hate to pick on Chase, but it's
Oh,
just a fact. When I would call Chase, by the time I finally reached a human being, I was in such a lather
yeah.
that that poor slob didn't know what hit him
Yeah.
because right? And please listen carefully because our menu has changed and it's been the same message since like 2011. I
Yeah.
I always get to a human being seriously within like 90 seconds.
Yeah, and we can get you there quicker. The secret is as soon as you call in and you get that message come up, hit three. I always tell people you hit three, it brings you right into the branch.
Oh,
One of us will answer that phone. There's six of us in this branch. One of us will answer that phone. It is a real rarity for me to come into the branch and have a voicemail. Somebody's answering the call. That's
it's a beautiful thing.
yeah, it's something we pride ourselves on. We really don't want people to go into voicemail. Is it unavoidable sometimes? Sure. But like you said, you're talking to someone in 90 seconds. I think I just cut off 60 of those by telling you that little secret. Press
I think
number
you
three, you come right into the branch.
I think you just did. That's a great thing. One more thing, and I could
Sure.
be wrong here, but you guys are based in Buffalo. You're not like in Sheboygan. You're not like Delaware.
Yeah.
You're like this is a New York State based thing.
Yeah, we're based in Buffalo. I'm gonna probably get the number wrong. I think we are from originated in 1865. M&T was manufacturers and traders, and those are the
Yep.
people who banked. Yeah, I haven't been to Buffalo in a long, long, long time. My understanding is it's M&T world there. You kind of get off the airport, and M&T just hits you in the face. We also have a really huge presence over in Baltimore. If you're a football person, you know that they play at the M&T Bank Stadium.
Yes. Yes.
And as far as, so we're up
I
and
won't
down
hold
the
that
East
against
Coast.
you.
Yeah, we're up and down the East Coast. About 2 years ago, we bought People's United Bank,
Okay.
which added about 400, I think 400 branches to our network.
Hmm.
And so we're expanding, but what's really, really neat, I'm going to say neat, Phil. What's neat about it is we operate under regional presidents. So the decisions that are made in Buffalo, maybe they're not right for Ossining. So we have a regional president, and that region is centered around Tarrytown. You know, what are we, 10 minutes from Tarrytown here?
Yeah.
And that's where some of the decisions get made because what happens here is not the same as what's going to happen in our branches in Maryland or our branches in Buffalo. So it's a unique way to run a bank, and the phone numbers of those top people who in this region, I know them. They're not mythical characters that you're like, wow, they run a bank. It's people who I run into during the course of my 7 years here, and if I send them a text or a phone call, they know who I am. It's again, I'm not a stranger, so
So it's
it
not
makes it a
this
lot easier to get
monolithic
things done.
Oz.
Yeah, but
good
it
luck.
makes things a lot easier to get done. If we're trying to work on a deal with a client and it's on the border, if I can pull in someone who's, kind of a big cheese, if you will, and have them and meet them, it can change the game. It can change the game. We like to, there's a story, there's numbers and there's a story. And we obviously numbers don't lie, but we have to present a story as well for our clients.
I got to ask you a couple quick questions before we
Sure.
wrap it up. All right.
Yeah.
I can't talk to a banker and not ask this. Well, this is not typically, a mortgage thing. It is a money thing. Where do you see rates going in the
So,
next 2025? Where do you see rates
yeah,
going?
I mean, it's unfortunate. They're going to go down, which is great. Um, I don't think they're going to go down as much as people are hoping they will.
Right.
I would be surprised if it was any more than, a couple of more cuts during the year, any more than, I don't want to throw myself out there, but, 0.75%, maybe a couple of 1/4% drops.
Sounds about
Um,
right to me.
it
Yeah.
seems like where things are headed. Yeah, and I mean, in your industry, you have to be on top of that stuff as well. It's a lot harder to sell in the high interest rate environments. But yeah, I definitely see that there'll be some rate cuts coming, but I don't think we're going to be down to those 3% things that,
No,
that we enjoyed during
no.
COVID and things like that. So
And an equity line, right now is going to be what, a couple points above prime, or how does that work?
yeah, it depends. So on a home equity line of
Mhm.
credit, which we do a lot of, listen, it's based on credit, it's based on your debt, your income, the value of the house, how much you're borrowing, all kinds of,
A lot of
exciting
moving parts, right?
factors. Yeah, but it's going to start with prime, and it's probably going to be 1 to 2, 3 over prime, depending on all those factors. Um, and the business line of credit is probably somewhere in there as well.
Okay. And are those secured business lines of credit?
Typically not. Typically
Typically not.
not.
Okay.
They're not secured by like true collateral. We're not gonna
I
ask,
understand.
I
Okay.
mean, we have other loans that are. If you're doing an equipment loan, yeah, we might take the piece of equipment as collateral. Um,
That makes sense though.
yeah, depending on the dollar value of that line of credit, we typically don't take um collateral on it, and we do those applications. Turnaround's usually less than a week.
Okay. Do you guys do SBA?
We do. We're a
Okay.
huge with the SBA.
Okay.
I'll say top 10 right now because I'm not sure the exact number. That number changes all the
Wouldn't
time, but
surprise me.
we're a top 10 lender in the country. So that's a bank. We only operate branches on the East Coast, and we're a top 10 lender in the country. So says volumes for the amount of loans we do. And I think COVID really propelled that.
Yeah.
All the business owners were out there trying to get those PPP loans, and we've heard the stories of other banks, their sites crashing, and people couldn't get into the portal, or the bank was giving out, $10 million PPP loans. I think M&T, the average we were doing was like $150,000 PPP loan, which means that we were really working with small business.
Yeah.
Um, and they did it smart. We waited a couple of days before we opened up that portal to see how everything else went. And then overnight, 2,000 branch managers turned into underwriters, and
Mm.
we're just working with the clients as closely as possible. Managers on the phone with clients till 11 o'clock at night to make sure applications were getting in correctly and in on a timely manner.
Awesome. Awesome.
Yeah.
You've really checked the boxes here because, I wanted to ask about SBA. It's a very small business administration. It's a very under discussed
Yeah.
and underrated program. And the fact, we've got a local business centric bank that does this, and your focus is on, actual businesses and not like, $10 million. Give me a break, right?
And the thing with the SBA, we're such close partners with them. It's you once you're approved for an SBA loan, we have someone an M&T employee who is now becomes your contact for getting whatever documentation or whatever signatures. We don't just throw it out to let somebody else handle it. Everything gets handled in-house by us. We
Okay,
are
that says a lot.
yeah. It
That
makes
says
a
a lot.
difference. It's people stuff like this you need to have your hand held.
Yes, you do. You need a partner.
Yeah.
All right. So, this is enlightening. Any final thought you'd like to impart that I have not asked about or is
Yeah,
worth
I
reiterating?
wouldn't say that you didn't ask about, but I can't stress, especially as like I said, as a former business owner, how important to have these relationships are. Again, you have your
Mm,
CPA and your attorney, find a banker, find someone you can work with, find someone that you wouldn't mind having a cup of coffee with, and um, it makes the difference. At some point or another in your business's lifetime, you're going to need some help from your bank. And it's so much easier if you can pick up the phone and say, "Hey, Larry, it's Phil. I need some help," opposed to trying to start that relationship and or walking into a branch where nobody knows who you are. Relationships are key.
boom. It really is. It really is. This is great. I greatly appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. This
The
is fun.
branch is, for people that may not know, it's in the Arcadian Shopping Center in Ossining. It's been
Yep.
there forever. So
Yeah,
you've been there 2 years or so, but that branch has been there quite a long time.
forever. Oh yeah.
And for those keeping score, it's 246 South Highland Avenue. But the branch number I have 914-762-4996, I believe.
That's us. That's
Right.
us.
Awesome.
Press number three.
Press number three. All right, we'll leave it there. Larry, this has been great. And this will be up on my channel, and I'll get you the raw copy as well. But dude, you're the best, and
Thank
I'm
you.
glad we were able to do this.
No, thank you, Phil. I appreciate it. You pushed me on this one. It's a little bit out of my wheelhouse, a little bit, but I really enjoyed it, and I appreciate you pushing me.
It agrees with you.
Yeah, thank you.